Peace, family. Or maybe I should say, as I said after the murders of Trayvon Martin, Shamir Rice, and Sandra Bland, who are all innocently murdered by the forces of white supremacy. War, family. I want to wish those of you that are still unconscious a happy Thanksgiving. I want to wish the masses of the so-called conscious also a happy Thanksgiving. There's not much difference between most of the conscious community and the so-called unconscious community. They're both laying in the bed. One's awake and one's asleep. But if work needs to be done, and I ain't talking about astral work, I'm not talking about subliminal work, I'm talking about actual physical work needs to be done. And you're laying in the bed right along those that don't know any better. And you're just as ineffective as they are. So I want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving too. Why am I saying happy Thanksgiving? I know many of you that know me know that I have in the past referred to this day as the National Day of Mourning. So why am I saying happy Thanksgiving? Because I genuinely hope that this year is the year that those of you that are unconscious wake up. Or those of you that are conscious actually get up and start putting in some actual physical work. So I don't have a lot of time this morning because I just want to chat with you real quick, and I mean really, really quick, because it ain't too much I got to say that I haven't said before. In the book, The Negro in Maryland, and before I go into that, I just want to say that a few years ago, a brother told me as I was talking about this being the National Day of Mourning, and y'all gotta excuse my language today because I'm not in gardening mode. I'm in warrior mode. The great late 20th century scholar and historian, Dr. John Henry Clark, taught us that gardeners were also those, or farmers were also those that built the pyramids. History tells us that gardeners, after European invasion, had evolved, if they weren't already before, into warriors. So I'm in warrior mode. I got to give it to you raw, just like it was given to me. The brother said, fuck the Native Americans and pass the turkey. I said that we should fast on Thanksgiving. And he said, fuck them Native Americans and pass the turkey. So I went on to explain to the young brother that when he's looking in the mirror, then those that he's saying fuck you to is actually his family, his ancestors. You can't disregard your ancestors. Of course there were always traitors and turncoats. Even the white man has traitors, or what they would call traitors and turncoats. The white man has those amongst him that have evolved beyond white supremacy. I know that's a very unpopular statement in the conscious community, but that's a fact. We don't like to say it though, because then you'll spend your whole day, every waking moment, looking for these awakened white people. But just because you're awake, as I said before, doesn't mean you're doing anything. I say that if you have a white person that's awake and that understands the destruction that his people have heaped on the world, that his work or her work will speak for itself. You don't have to look for them because they'll already be known to you. John Brown was one of these white people. I don't know what his motivation was, but he did what needed to be done at Harper's Ferry. So if you gotta have white allies, John Brown is the type of white ally you want, but we're talking about them Native Americans. When you look in the mirror, you're looking at, quote unquote, them Native Americans. You're looking at the very people that were here when the European invaders got here. Say, Daku, you confusing me now. I thought you said that we were African. I prefer the term Asiatic black man. I just prefer that term. It doesn't mean that you have to use that term. And it doesn't mean that I'm asleep. Because we're a universal people. And so wherever you go on the face of this earth, wherever the white man went, we were already there to meet him and greet him at the shores. We welcomed them in. So, as Radical Home Goddess told me, we shouldn't refer to ourselves as revolutionaries. We should refer to ourselves as evolutionaries. Evolution is a revolving action. That's all that means. So, revolution is simply to revolve again. Evolution is also a revolving action, but this time it's an enhanced revolution. It's an improved revolution. Somebody said, how can you improve on perfection? Well, obviously we were not perfect in the past. We trusted those that came amongst us. We trusted that they would be as respectful of the planet Earth and everything on the earth as we had been for the majority of our existence. But that was not true. So we have to evolve beyond where we were in the past. And that is very possible. In the book, The Negro in Maryland, to make you aware of how much the statement is the fact that you are actually the real and the true Native Americans. Not saying that somebody else is not. But we do know that some of the white Native Americans, as I like to call them, actually bought their way into that title. And I've said before, I say it again, I'll never spend money to become what I already am. I like getting older because the older I become, the more unapologetic I am about being who I am. So I guess you could call me an African, Native American, Asiatic, black man, whatever. Anyway, in the book, The Negro in Maryland, I know I said that a few times already, let me get to the point. The enslaver would put the Negro, the so-called Negro, and the so-called Indian in the same slave camp. The book tells you that because of this, they didn't know how many Indians was in there. They didn't know how many Negroes was in there. But how could that be? If I put 3 white crowns in a box and 7 black crowns in a box, and then I look in the box, I can tell that they different, right? So I know that there's 3 white crowns and 7 black crowns, for a total of 10 crowns. But if I take 7 black crowns and 3 black crowns and I put them all in a box, they all just look like black crowns to me. So the book is telling you that we are the people that were destroyed, if you will, that were murdered, that genocide was committed against us in this country. You are those people. You can't say fuck those Native Americans and pass the turkey. But you can say fuck the white supremacists and pass the weapons. That's what you can say. And that's the purpose of these days. When everybody else is asleep, the evolutionary warrior ancestors, our evolutionary warrior ancestors, would be awake, planning and implementing the rebellion. That's your job. And so these days make me happy because it's a free day, another day that I have to plan and implement the liberation, the rebellion, and the freedom. That's what these days are for. Not for you to get full, so full that you gotta lay down and go back to sleep, even if you were awake. It's not for you to get so drunk that you don't know what's going on, so high that you don't know what's happening. So those of you that are conscious, that are going to get just as full and drunk as those of you that are unconscious, you just going to go back to sleep. Hell, you already laying in the bed. All you got to do is close your eyes. And you'll just drift off to sleep. It's time for us to wake up. Or maybe I can't say it's time, because when it's time, it'll happen. I had an argument with my brother the other day because he's about to turn a certain age, and he said for his birthday, he wants to see me come back home on Thanksgiving. Because it had been so many years since I have taken part in that tradition. I said to him, my job as a evolutionary warrior is to work towards the liberation of our people. And if I get full and drunk today, and I might as well be laying in the bed right beside you. The more we lay in the bed, the more these devils will go upside our head. And we'll be numb to it, or we'll be dumb to it. But we sure enough ain't gonna do nothing about it. So I encourage you today to wake up and stand up and do something to free our people. This has been Daku Akabo Wakatu.